you do. Trust you are good. This morning, I feel inspired to share something. Yeah, I looked at my face. The happiness on my face does not reflect the tiredness in my bones, for sure. But anyway, both of them very legitimately true. Whilst I was in England, I had conversations with people that always incite thought. I mean, if you know me, you know that when I have opportunities to interact, I'm looking for opportunities to learn. I was talking to somebody who migrated about just in the early days when the page started. And she consulted me. She wanted to know my opinion about moving and where I would recommend the person move. To be honest, in that person's circumstances for the job they did, it made sense for them to move to the United Kingdom. So they did. And when they got to the United Kingdom, they suddenly discovered that they were an immigrant. It's very funny how a person who has been born where you have been born and had your rights in that place your entire life suddenly discovers. People have to tell you, you are an immigrant. Even me, you know, people had to tell me I was black. People had to tell me I was black. I didn't know I was black. No. Somebody has to tell you you are black. You will know certain things about yourself because other people tell you. Anyway, they told her that she was an immigrant. All of a sudden, as an immigrant, she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that. There were lots of restrictions. One of the key restrictions for her was the ability to do stuff and own stuff. She was really restricted in some things that she wanted to do. Another person and I were also talking, and she was telling me that the kind of sponsorship she had, she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that. And she only found out about the couldn't do's way into the project. I hadn't even thought about the second one. The first one is, the second one, yeah, they're very similar. The first one was somebody who moved, but the way they moved and the way they wanted to live, there was a disjunction between them, because as a migrant, there are certain things you can't do. And so she quickly figured that when she got her citizenship, no, permanent residence it was, yeah. When she got permanent residence, she would be able to do a lot of things. Citizenship is not even concluded, is it? Yeah. When she got permanent residence, she could be able to do certain things. And so permanent residence became the obsession. Permanent residence, when I get my documents, when I'm finally done, when all this rubbish is finished, you okay. As of this weekend, permanent residence is in her hand. Permanent residence is in her hand. And what has happened since permanent residence fell in her hand is what has inspired this conversation. She was telling me that some of the things she thought will happen automatically when permanent residence happened did not happen automatically. They still required her to take proactive action, to do certain things. She hadn't expected that. She had not anticipated that. Some things that she thought would be conferred by this permanent residence were not conferred. And there are some things that were conferred, but still required her to take some action to claim. It took me to years back when I would have these conversations with my folk. My folk and I would talk, and people would be dreaming of when they get residence, when they become citizens, when they become this, when they become that. And I'm telling my folk, look, you must take certain actions for certain things to work. So again, let's bring it home. Let's not even talk hypothetically. 2 days ago, I was on the stage receiving my doctorate degree, and everybody was asking me if I've got a university job yet, have I got a researcher job, blah, blah, blah. And all these jobs are things that I can get, I should get, I'm qualified to get. But if you look, I am busy driving to a high school this morning to go and beat them up. If you don't take certain actions, if you don't do certain things, the achievements will not mean anything. For me, one of the key things I need to do is to start publishing work. I need to publish work. When I start having a record of publications, yes, I'll be able to. About 3 months ago, I realized that I needed to get in front, maybe 6 months, in front of people who hire for these courses. So I decided to take proactive action. I contacted some of the people who knew me from my old jobs, who are now in positions, and I started having conversations about, can you introduce me to one of them? Straight off her cuff, introduced me to somebody, the person and I talked. They invited me to be a speaker. Initially, it was to come and speak to their students. So they brought me to speak just so they can see what I'm like. And when I finished speaking, they asked me, would you like to do a demo class? I'm like, yeah, I'll do a demo class. And I went to do a demo class. These are some of the things that you need to do in order. So for me, doing a demo class, getting in front of recruiters, getting them to see me, getting them to know how I work is what is required to get me to the next step. If I do those things, getting published, if I go down the rabbit hole of publications and I start putting information out there, yeah, then it would be great. It would be beautiful for me. If I don't take those actions, my bright, shiny doctorate degree, as a lot of you know, over the last 18 months, 1.5 years, has been sitting, whilst my life really essentially carried on as it was. High school teacher. No, actually, my life didn't carry on as it was. My life began to spiral out into places I don't even want to. Yeah, today I am going to chase bottom sets, grade 8, middle sets, grade 8, one from bottom sets, grade 7. Yeah. Those are not the profile of students that I really ought to be teaching. No respect or disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying it shouldn't be the profile I should be teaching. My skills are such that I should actually be challenging people to move to, yeah. But here I am. If I don't want to be in that spot, there are things to be done. So my friend who had done her permanent residence, getting a permanent residence alone was not going to get her to do the business. She needed to go and register for the business. She needed to register for the business. She needed to get an accountant, get a this, get a that. She needed to employ some people. She needed to do some recruitment. So there are actions to be taken to incorporate the business, and there were actions to be taken to start running the business. Those are things she needed to do in order for her dream to start manifesting. Getting permanent residence alone was going to end up being a useless event if she wasn't smart enough to take certain action in time. That's what I want to say to you. Achievement can be made meaningless if requisite actions are not taken. There are certain requisite actions that will help your achievement to translate into life transformation. If those requisite actions are not taken, your achievements may fail to transform your life. And you may end up crying, bemoaning. But that's because you have not understood a very simple premise. There are requisite actions so that attainment can be made meaningful. I'm telling you that so that you can now start reflecting internally and ask yourself the question: what are the requisite actions for the transformation you hope for, you dream for? You dream of? Which transformations are you hoping for, dreaming of? What's the gap between where you are and there? When you understand the gap, the requisite actions might be clearer. What is stopping you from operating within your dream? And that will help you answer what you need to do in order to get there. One of the girls was telling me as soon as she finished, she was offered a job at the university. Like, yep, she lives there. So the university we graduated from have just incorporated her into, and she's busy teaching at the moment, which is a lovely place to start. Teaching undergrad and master's units when you've just finished a doctorate is a great place to start. Yeah. That would be something I want to do. Sadly for me, I don't live in that country. My professors cannot put me in. Yeah. Me and my professor need to sit down and think about the research grants that we should apply for. Yeah. I would like to start writing research grants, and I would like to start actually researching full time. I want to get off the grind and go do something, but there are certain actions I need to take. 1, I need to publish. 2, I need to learn bid writing, or to find a team who bid writes. I need to learn the funding scope to understand what to do. These are things I need to do. So I'm asking you, what do you need to do in order for what you have achieved to be meaningful? You have just migrated from Timbuktu to go to Oyibo's land. Great. There are many opportunities in Oyibo's land that will not happen to you automatically. If you want Johnny Blue Island to benefit you, you need to understand how Johnny Blue Island works. The principles that operate in Blue Island is not the same as the principles that operated in Timbuktu, where you just came from. An understanding of the gap between where you are and where you want to be will help you bridge that gap. So this morning's question is pretty straightforward. It's direct. Where do you hope to get to? What will help you to get there? I am busy sharing some of mine with you. Yeah. I am very busy sharing some of mine with you. When your achievements don't seem to change your life, that's not the time to cry, because as I said, achievements themselves don't change your life. I know people who have master's degree and they go straight to their school leaders and they go and fight and they get a pay rise. I never did. Getting a master's degree on its own didn't get me a pay rise. It did not. Getting a master's did not rise my pay because I did not go to have that conversation around negotiating pay. I did not. I don't even know what the reasons were for me at the time, but I just didn't. Because I didn't, guess what? There are people whose master's degrees affected their pay skills. Mine didn't. And actually, even my doctorate degree has not got me a pay rise where I am. It hasn't. If I want my doctorate degree to give me a pay rise, if I want my doctorate degree to change the way my life operates, then I am going to have to take some decisive action, which I am. I've decided that I'm going to send my research statements and teaching statements plus my CV, revamped CV, to a few institutions around here who could use my service. Then I will need to get in on the conference trail and start attending more conferences. I attended one conference or two, and those ones opened some doors to me. But yeah, I will need to attend more conferences to get to know more of these decision makers. These are the things that I need to do in order for what I have already achieved to transform my life. So I'm asking you again, what have you achieved, or what are you about to achieve that should be life transformation? And do you know what you need to do in order to let that transformation happen? In most cases, that transformation is not going to happen magically. It won't. For the most part, it requires you to do things, to prepare in ways. Yeah. This conversation is important because when this conversation is had with you and you prepare in advance, you don't get nasty surprises. If this conversation doesn't happen and you don't prepare in advance, some very nasty surprises throw themselves at you. And you bemoan and you cry. Why is my own story this way? Somebody recently asked me. Why is it that only myself? Everybody else, no. Everybody else often does some things in the background that are not necessarily advertised. And yes, those people are enjoying the fruits of some actions they have taken, which might be subtle and you may not have picked up. Or sometimes those people don't need those actions, but you do. So you need to have a look at your situation. Like I said, 2 of the girls have already got into places. The other one was asking me, I'm like, you are not my mates, you finished this July. I finished a year ahead of you. I finished 18 months ago, a year and a half ago. I got my award a year and a half ago, and I'm just here to come and collect it. But no, it hasn't quite changed my life the way you want it to change. They are in situations where things can fall in place for them, and so good for them. But I'm in a situation here where people here don't know what I've done. Professors here and the institutions here who need my services do not know I exist. It is my job to go and find ways in which I will let these people know I exist. I turned around for 2 seconds. Is that what they've done? Wow. need to get somebody to come and clean my rooftop chimney, because there is fog in Abu Dhabi. We are in winter. The winter in Abu Dhabi is not like the winter in some of your other places. Abu Dhabi winter is late spring, when summer is almost here. Yeah, that is the kind of winter we have. I love me life here. Ordinarily, I love life here. But this week, having returned from the cold, oh, I love life here. I love life here. What do you need to do to get you to benefit from what you have already done? You have already migrated. But migration alone is not changing your life. Well, there are some things that you need to do. There are some parameters that need to be in place in order for migration to change your life. I'm in the Middle East, for example. People with a fraction of my qualification who managed to get into KHDA or ADEC, those people are doing really well. They are earning salaries that would make my eyeballs pop out of their sockets with a fraction of my qualification. I have not solicited those roles. I have not been to those places to get to those jobs. I have remained within the comfort of the places that I know to find jobs, and so I have found jobs at this level. My salary does not make anybody's eyeballs pop. I have already got the qualifications in hand, but there are some things to do to translate those same qualifications into things that will change my life, into situations that will totally transform. That's the conversation I'm having with you. What are the transformative events that ought to happen? And how do you engineer those transformative events within the shortest possible time? Knowing the events is great. Doing the events is even better. And as you can see, I is jet lagged. I'm tired. There is a jet lag. There is a time zone switch. There is old age. And there is still a body in recovery. And all those things combined today to mean a great struggle. It is a great struggle for me today. Fine. A good cup of coffee can fix many things. Anyway, that's the conversation I wanted to have with you. I wanted to share with you that some things don't just happen. Some things happen because certain actions are taken, certain parameters are put in place. The events happening alone may not get you the outcomes you envisage. It is important to know the auxiliary events that will help your actual anticipated events to have the transformatory effect that a lot of us hope that they would. I greet you. I'm excited to see you. I hope that this conversation has you thinking. And if you think of anything that you need to do in order for you to benefit from the things you already have or you have coming up, may you receive the good sense to act on it with diligence and with urgency. I'm going to continue to yawn. So before I swallow you, let me love you, let me leave you, and we will reconvene tomorrow morning.